Hi everyone, hope you're all having an exceptional time. My name is Francois Hubert, and in this episode of The Exceptional Show, I'm talking to my good friend, Christine Nielsen, all the way from Canada, about her background, about her journey, her story, from how she reinvented herself, how she didn't let her past dictate her future, how she rebranded herself, and really also the habits that she's employed. Doing all of this, because it's so important. I believe we are the total sum of all our habits, because our habits determine how we make decisions, our habits determine what actions we take, and if we can start being aware of our habits and why we do certain things, we can start controlling them, start managing our habits, and make better decisions, take better actions. So, I'm very excited about this episode. I know you're going to love it as well. Share it with your friends. Share it with somebody that needs to hear this story and this interview. So I'll catch you after the intro, and we'll jump right into this episode. Thank you very much for your support, and appreciate all of you. Take care. Cheers.
You are listening to The Exceptional Show, hosted by Francois Hubert, helping you to strive for exceptional.
To another exceptional episode of The Exceptional Show. I'm so glad that you can join us today. I got a special guest for you today on the show, all the way from Toronto, Canada. One of my good friends, she has over 20 years experience in transforming and driving business organizations. She's the founder and CEO of Contrast Coaching and Consulting, president of the Intelligent Millionaires Network in Toronto, an international speaker, an executive, a consultant, an advisor, a spokeswoman for senior business leader, a parliamentary advisor, a board member working with businesses and nonprofits. Christine Nielsen, welcome to The Exceptional Show. So great to have you here. Thanks for offering some of your time to come and speak to us.
I'm so grateful and honored that you asked me. I'm always I enjoy your company and the spirit in which you are helping entrepreneurs and business owners. So we're very kindred that way, and I'm really grateful that you asked.
No, thank you very much. Christine, a fabulous CV that you have. Well done on all the accomplishments that you've done. One thing that I don't see on there is that you are also a passionate mom, a loving wife. How do you, I think my question to you on that is, and I think a lot of women especially struggle with this, is how do they decide between business, family, or the combination between the two? How do you do it?
Well, and it's challenging for every woman. So each of us is very different, and we do it our own way. And I think the first thing is don't compare yourself to anybody else. That's top priority. You do you the way you do it. And that's your authentic self-expression. You know, when we start to compare ourselves to other women who maybe are excelling in their career and they don't have children, and you're at home and you're trying to accelerate your career as well as manage your family, you'll start to make yourself a bit of a crazy person as an entrepreneur, and vice versa. Let's say you're a woman who is making that choice and you're fast tracking to the CEO road, or you've got a really thriving business, and you may make the decision not to have children. All of those are very personal things. And my recommendation, number one, is don't compare yourself. Do you the way you do you, which is authentic for you. Now, I have 3 kids, and that meant that my career took some turns. And there was times where it was full throttle before the kids. It was like progressing and aggressive. And then when I had the kids, my perception of my life shifted. And the things that I valued most changed, because it was now about my children. And then it came a time where it's like, how do you have that? The other thing, stop eluding yourself. There is no balance. Balance is a misnomer. There will never be balance. Okay, you'll be doing the things you do when you're doing them, and you'll notice that at the end of the week, if you continually, if today's about my family and children, let go of worrying about what's happening with the business and just be with your family and your children. If today's about your own personal health, which you have to make a priority, then do those things when you're doing them. Try not to cross-pollinate too much. And at the end of the week, look to see, it's like, how did I do? Where was something maybe off? Or what could I do differently next week that would provide more balance, if you will? But again, balance it's a myth. We don't really have it.
Yeah, I think, Christine, as you said, they balance. And I listened to somebody else the other day, and you there in Canada, your major sport, ice hockey, that all the Canadians love. And what he said was that when that ice hockey player needs to take a penalty shot, he's fully focused on just that penalty shot. He doesn't think about his family or his finances or what he's going to do in the next half hour. All his focus is on that penalty shot. And I think, like you said, on the balance, there's no such thing as balance. Sometimes you have to give of your time for something else and leave something else. But I think, and I want your thoughts on this, I think where people struggle with this is that when they are with their business, they feel guilty that they're not with their family. And when they're with their family, they feel guilty, I'm not working on my business. What's your thoughts on that?
So I love that you said guilt, because in my perspective, guilt is a useless emotion. It's an emotion that we inherited from some expectation that got laid on us or on our parents. It's probably been passed down through generations. We didn't even think up guilt. Depending on the religion phenomena you belong to or what your spiritual beliefs are, guilt is probably ever present in your life. I'm Catholic, so that happens to be one of the main things is guilt, right? But that recovering from that religion phenomena, guilt is something that we inherited. It's not something we invented. So being, with your children and having that experience of guilt when you're with your children for not doing other things just rips you off of the moments you're from being present. So it stops you from being fully present and fully effective, right? That concern about what's going on where you aren't. Well, guess what? You can only be where you are now. You can only be present in the moments that you're present right now. If you were interviewing me and thinking about your next interview, then you wouldn't be being with me and you would be ripping off us of that experience. It goes for everything, whether it's business, whether it's your kids, whether it's your personal life. And I love that you use the hockey analogy because, as you know, I was a competitive hockey player. I played women's hockey in Canada. Yes. And I have, my 3 children are also very competitive athletes. So not only am I a mom and I run a business and I travel for speaking all over the world, my children have high demands. My son is on one of the top AA hockey teams for O2, so he's 16 in the province. They just recently won their whole league. Wow, and
congratulations.
My daughter is a competitive dancer, so he plays 5 to 6 days a week. My daughter is a competitive dancer, so she dances about 28 hours a week. And then we have a 5-year-old and up and coming, and he's also getting into hockey, and he's trying to figure out, am I going to be a goalie? He starts his select career next year. And how I make that work is I ensure I have the right people in my life to support all the aspects of my life. So I have teams of people, I carpool with people. So we have carpool nights where we're accountable for making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. And it's the same with my business. So you make sure you surround surround yourself with people who you trust to help you move forward in all those areas. And I can't do it alone. And a lot of entrepreneurs try to do it alone. And that's one of the biggest, most fatal mistakes, truly, is not asking for help.
Yeah, true. Speaking about kids, my youngest just walked into the room doing this interview.
Yes. This happens to me all the time. Hi, Angel. How are you? What's her name?
Her name is Emily.
Hi, Emily. I'm Christine.
That's Christine. Say hello. Bye.
Oh, you're beautiful. My daughter came in because my 5-year-old does that all the time. And then you just include it because most people either have children or they just understand. We're human beings.
Yeah, true. No, true.
It always brings that BBC moment to life. The one where the gentleman was like having an interview live on BBC and his children came in the room and the nanny rolls them out of the room and everybody made this big fuss about it. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, it does. It does. Christine, you mentioned and you said that you surround yourself within your family, but also within your business. And when I follow you on social media, you have this priority to surround yourself with A players and highly successful people. And this is a 2-part question that I want to ask you. Why did you make that decision? And let's talk business now for a second.
Absolutely.
That decision to surround yourself with A players.
First and foremost, if you don't have a bar in front of you where you're going towards, your behavior, your brain will often float down to the most common denominator and be very comfortable. So you want to put people in your life that make you uncomfortable, that have you take risks that you might not have otherwise thought of. So you have to put people in your life or players that are up to something really big so that you are compelled forward. Otherwise, you end up going down to that, like business colleagues are fine with it's fine or it's safe the way that it is. Don't rock the boat. They're not your people because you won't have any breakthrough thinking in your business if somebody's not saying, try this, you didn't do that, or pushing you forward. So I'm always putting people where I want to elevate myself to. And let me give you a simple example.
No, please.
For many years, I've been a speaker internationally and mostly in businesses. So I was never personally branded as a speaker. And it was something that I always wanted to do, but I was always very afraid. People used to say to me, oh, you're like Tony Robbins, only you're a woman. But I'm not branded like Tony Robbins. And I'm not like Tony Robbins because I'm me. Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins.
Exactly.
But that fear but I had that thought, that fear, that mindset that because I'm not him, I shouldn't even try. There's only one Tony Robbins, right? And then when I met someone that both of us know, JT Fox, and he said, the world needs more women speakers, I was like, you know what, you're right. And that fear completely switched for me. So instead of speaking to corporations and businesses where the room was already filled with like 300, 400, 500 people, I've started now speaking to like 2,800, 3,000 people. That was a big shift for me because I was terrified. What could I possibly offer to people? Well, actually, it turns out I have a lot to offer. And it was that thought, that mindset that needed to change and shift. And so I think that answered your question kind of in a roundabout way, but surrounding yourself with people who pull you forward.
Yeah, you've also answered the second part is that by surrounding yourself with us, how does that help you in growing your business, growing you as an individual as well? But I think you touched on that where you said, is that mind shift, getting rid of the fear, and speaking about fear. I think fear is so paralyzing in so many people and so many entrepreneurs when they want to do things. They've got this great idea, great system, great story to tell, as you said, but fear just prevents them. And how do you think that people can become or can get rid of this fear? One is the mindset, but practical ways that you got over your fear.
I so love that you asked that question because I get asked that a lot. So first off, when you just say it's fear, it puts it in like this really big category. And I always ask people, well, tell me exactly what is it that's actually stopping you? And don't describe it as fear because that's like putting a blanket over everything. And it's not everything. No, and for me, it was, the fear of failure, of not making it. So when I narrowed it down, then I could realize that was a decision that I had made that's not true. Because nobody was going to be let down if I tried something. And then that disappeared the fear. Because who's going to be let down if you go out and you try something and you swing for the fences? Wayne Gretzky said it best. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
True.
If you don't know why you're not taking the shot, you got to figure that out first. And I don't love, and bring it right down to really, why aren't you doing that? And don't tell me it's just fear. There's something that's getting in your way. And then the other thing is practice it. Try it. Go for it. If you're afraid of heights, or you're afraid of roller coasters, go get on a roller coaster and ride that roller coaster 5 times, 3 times. All of a sudden the fear disappears and you feel, so your adrenaline starts to come up and whatever thing that was stuck in your brain gets changed by your emotions, which now changes your perception. So once you take action, your perception changes.
True.
Action is the only thing that makes a difference.
I agree fully with you. And as I tell my clients and my coaching clients as well is when they've got this fear of failure, I call it the fear of no. So they fear that no that they're going to get. I say, please, every morning, dial 15 new people and ask and beg that the first 10 people will say no. Set yourself up for no so that you get over that, so that the last 5 that you phone, you've got this full confidence and you can do it. And out of 15, 1 or 2 yeses is going to come. And you only need that one yes to really change your life.
Yeah, and really that fear of no is actually a very young age conversation. Did you know before your daughter was 3 years old, she probably heard no the most in her entire life?
True.
And it was designed to keep her safe. No, don't put your hand in the socket. No, don't do this. No, don't do that. No. And that you hear no before the age of 2, actually, more times than any other word in your life. So no becomes this ingrained thing, and it becomes to keep you safe. And then you inherit that safety mechanism, and that's what stops us. And so we want to bust through that by trying those things, by calling those clients and being willing to hear no, because you won't die. You'll just get no.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you'll still be there.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Really attached to that no.
Yeah. Christine, I want to move on a bit. You've been in the industry for 20 years, more than 20 years, accumulative.
Only 39, but I've actually been in the industry and I'm a master coach for 24 years.
Awesome. So this is going to be a great question for you. So let's say hypothetically, you need to start over tomorrow. Okay.
Yep.
Something happened, you lose everything. What are the things that you will focus on in the first 5 days from starting over to rebuild your company and rebuild your brand?
Yes. And it did happen to me. I really did 3 years ago reinvent my company. I had a baby and left the industry for about 5 years. So I really did reinvent myself. And the first thing I had to do, one of the things that I had to face was, what are those conversations? What are the limiting beliefs I have? Okay. So I don't have enough contacts. Do I have the right finances? Can I do this? Am I relevant? So all of those, that ticker tape of what would stop me from really reinventing myself. And then what's going to stop me, right? And most of it is a conversation that it's limiting beliefs, always limiting beliefs. So in the first 5 days, the first thing I needed to do was sort that out, because that would continue to get in the way. So after discovering those limiting beliefs, I had to step out and put myself out there, let people know I'm up to something. So social media is the first place because it hit so many more people. My LinkedIn profile, once I changed it, within the first 4 days of changing that LinkedIn profile, I actually accomplished 4 clients. People are like, oh, you're coaching again? I need a coach. Yeah. And it was incredible. So then my confidence started to rise, right? So that was the second thing I did, was let people know I'm up to something and I'm ready to help, or I'm ready to build a business, and share that with other people. Whether don't share it with your family necessarily, and here's why. They're going to be the ones to tell you all the reasons why not, if your family is wired that way, or they'll agree with you, but they might put your limitations from whatever you did in the past. Well, you tried that and it failed. So take away anything that you failed in your past, let that all go, because you're in your now, not your yesterday. You have to remove all those things. So the social media element was a huge component for me. And then really designing, what do I want now that is not the same? Making sure I started reaching out to people on a daily basis, figuring out, what do I want? And that takes time, because most people can answer the question, what they don't want. They rarely can actually tell you or articulate what they do want. And when they don't articulate it, it's because of some fear, like we just talked about, that they won't accomplish that. So they don't even want to tell you what they really want because they're afraid that they won't get it. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. So if I can sum up, so you'll focus on your limiting beliefs to get over that. What has put you into this situation? Second one is get yourself out there again, utilizing social media, your contacts, all of that. Start building that list again. And thirdly, what do you want now? What are the things that you want to accomplish now in your life, not necessarily what went on?
Yeah. And I think, so once you figure out your vision, what do I want? Then how are you going to get that? So you want to have a plan. And I don't mean spend 6 days building a business plan. Very simple. because sometimes we get bogged down in, and a lot of people have these big visions and they don't get off the ground because then they have to perfect how they're going to accomplish their vision, what that financial model is going to look like, how many people are going to be in their business. And they spend so much time on the strategy of the business that they don't actually do any of the actions to have the business.
Yeah.
You have to think in both ways. Yes, you need to do some of that strategic thinking, but in the very beginning, keep it very high level. And the more you share with people, the more your vision will expand and the more possibilities and opportunities will come your way.
Yeah.
But you have to take action.
Yeah. No one has ever won a prize by putting a business plan on paper and just leaving it there.
No.
True. Christine, on
and nobody's gotten, it's like you won't get money for your most beautiful business plan that has the most beautiful graphs and charts.
Exactly. You're not getting paid for your business plan.
No.
Listen, Christine, on social media, we talked about now, recently we've seen it. A lot of negativity, a lot of hate, a lot of people putting out their failures on there and making it bigger than it is. How do you deal with negativity, with failure, with just, everything that's going on social media?
Yeah, well, let me share a couple of things with you. Because before I really reinvented myself in this way and going public and being a much more public person, I never attracted hatred or mean things because I was never out there. So when you do put yourself out there, you do open yourself up. I had no idea there was a world out there of people just waiting for you to fail. It wasn't even, because I don't think that way. So this was all new for me. And I'll share two things that had happened to me this past year. The more success I accomplished, the more people wanted to shoot me down. So they would make up stories and they would put it on Facebook. And at first I really responded to that and I got caught up in their drama. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not who I am. It doesn't matter what people say. Words will come out of a hole in their face or they'll type them behind a computer because they want to hide behind that keyboard and say negativity.
Yes.
That doesn't define you. You define you. Who you are and your daily actions, that defines you. What other people say about that, they'll say positive things and they'll say negative things. And hopefully you can control a little bit of it where more people are left with something positive to say about you. But for the most part, if someone wants to hate on you, they're going to.
No, that is so true.
And let me share another thing with you.
Yeah, what people say, whether it is positive or negative, that doesn't define you. That needs to come from yourself. Self-confidence comes from inside, how you are true to yourself and true to your vision and your vision of helping other people and as many as possible.
Exactly, Francois. And knowing who you are is a big part of that. And then the second thing that happened to me this year, sometimes you have to take a stand and stand up for something. And my son, and I'll use a personal example if you don't mind, because this really just happened to me. And my son goes to a private Catholic school. It's an all-boys school here in Canada. And it's a very well-known school for turning out some of the top athletes in the world. They turn out scholarship students, and they give students that wouldn't normally have access to going on to universities on full scholarships in Canada and the United States. They wouldn't have that access, and they get these students out there. So top hockey players that have gone through that school. Well, there was a very bad harassment issue that happened with some of the boys in the school. Every school has students that do bad things. There's every community, every business, a small group of people may do something bad, but does that mean that the entire community is bad? No, it means a small group of people did something, and what they did was horrific, and I'm not defending it. But what happened was, when the parents got a hold of it, I went in and we were in a police meeting, and there was a reporter that had been harassed. The reporters were really swarming the school and really trying to use this because stories and media sell. And reporters were using the incident in a way that was harming the boys further and doing a lot of damage to the community. So I left the meeting, and a reporter had been escorted out of the private parent, principal, and police meeting. And a reporter had gotten in my face with a microphone. And at first I said no comment. And then they did a leading question and baited me. And I said, and my words were, "You're part of the problem. You're not helping what's happening here." But they tweeted me saying, "You're part of the problem. You're the problem." And in a matter of 24 hours, I instantly had 900 Twitter haters
Wow.
Over that small statement, and people saying the most horrendous things. My son must have been one of the people that was doing these bad things, like it just horrific things. And at first I was really like just shocked that people would take that little piece of context, because context is decisive in all of our lives. There's what you say, what I say, and then there's like a story around it. Right? And for all of our clients too, when we're coaching them, that how many piled on hatred. And I didn't know there was this thing called trolls, like computer trolls, that literally look for stories to pound hatred onto. So, it was quite interesting, because then another newspaper article did a story about the story. And they said, what really happened? Why were you really upset? And when I gave them the entire context of what was happening to the boys at the school and how the media had been portraying it and how there were bomb threats and there's 1,200 kids that go to that school, that changed the whole story. So my point in sharing this very personal traumatic incident that happened to us this year is that one snapshot is not the truth. One piece of information is not necessarily the whole picture. And we always want to just stop and look at, I wonder what's going on here. What is the whole story? I understand that's one perception, but what's really happening? And if we could do that, not only in our personal lives, but in our business, imagine what would be possible, right? And social media can be used for so many positive things, and newsprint and all of those things for good, to really help people. When Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, his intention for Facebook was that he connected the world internet globally. He wanted a place to just connect human beings. That was his sole purpose. I want to connect the world. He's accomplished that, and beyond.
Yeah, true.
But now what's happening, his dream is being used against that vision. His dream, and now people are using social media to spread negativity, put up fake posts, do all kinds of just horrific things.
Yeah. No, sure. Christine, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing that very personal story. I think people will identify with that. They will, I'm certainly they'll learn from that, how to treat it, and just get a better perspective and a mind shift of how to see social media, see things that they read, and really use their own common sense to make sure, but listen here, do their own due diligence to get behind the story. So I commend you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing that with our listeners and with our viewers on this platform. Christine, we almost done. I know you're very busy. Just last couple of questions. In 2019 and beyond, what are the 3 things that will separate a good business from an exceptional business?
I think really first and foremost, you have to have a vision that is going to create you to be different. What is going to impact, and it has to have something that is connected to your purpose in life, and why are you really doing what you're doing? So what gets you up and gets you moving, that other people will be attracted to that vision and want to participate with you. We talk about a purpose-driven organization. So you want to look at, is my company about money, and is it about me, or is it about a higher purpose that will allow for both those things to happen? So you can't just have a purposeful business without it generating profit. You have to have both. They're key, because if you really want to make a difference and you want to help more people, being profitable and being sustainable are key elements, right? And I think, we hear the newspaper right now, and on January the 2nd, I picked up the newspaper and it was warning like global recession and the economy and blah, blah, blah. The news will always tell you what not to do. The world will always give you evidence for don't try new things. If you listen to the world and the news and the global perspective, you might never get out of bed.
Yes.
So I highly recommend be informed, but don't take those things to the point where they stop you from taking action or having your vision and dream. You can always find a way. Strongest companies are built because they become resilient, because they look for solutions to have their vision. It's like, no, we're going to do this anyway.
Yes.
And we're going to make that happen. And if you're being that way, then your business will thrive in 2019 and 2020, regardless of what's happening in the global economy.
Christine, thank you very much. Thanks for all your insights. I really enjoyed chatting to you today.
I can't believe it went so fast.
Yeah, it did. Well, we can chat for hours on end. But I know you're very busy. You need to go get to meetings. You need to go and change people's lives. So thank you very much. Thanks for your time that you invested with us. I truly, truly enjoy this. I know this interview is going to impact so many people's lives. So if you found some value in this interview, if there was something that Christine mentioned to you that resonated with you, get in contact with her, share this post, getting in contact. Christine, where can people get in contact with you?
The best way to get in contact with me, if you use Facebook, is Christine Nielsen, and there's a fan page there, or Contrast Consulting. Also Instagram, you can go Coach C Official or Christine Nielsen, so we're there as well, and Contrast Consulting is there as well. And then really just go on our website, which is contrastconsultingco.com. And those are the three big ways to get in touch with me.
Awesome. So again, if you found value in this podcast, in the YouTube video, share it with your connections, with your network. I bring this to you for free. This is for you to really see other entrepreneurs doing what you are doing, showing that you're not alone, and that the issues that you have, all of us have, and together we're going to find the solutions. Again, Christine, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will chat soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great to see you.